like out east, we have the Atlanta Hawks, the top seed, taking on the Brooklyn Nets. Atlanta leads 1-0. Atlanta, I think a lot of people expected them to win this series. They probably will. The Nets, they played all right, but I don't think they have enough firepower. Atlanta's too good of a team. What do you guys think?
Well, I definitely see the Hawks as that team that has been red hot all year, and that's kind of lost momentum towards the end, so it was definitely expected. I think that the Hawks will coast to the victory.
Yeah, Hawks take this one. 4, maybe 5 games. It depends. Brook Lopez has been playing really well. He's going to be the catalyst for Brooklyn if they're going to win a game. Another game from the East is the Celtics versus the Cavaliers. Cavaliers won the game 113-100. Kyrie Irving and LeBron James combined for 50 points. So right there, they outscored most of the Celtics team.
Yeah, Kyrie Irving in his first playoffs, Kevin Love in his first playoffs. But when you have LeBron carrying your team, you can sit back a little and sort of get into the groove in the playoffs. And I think that's what Kyrie Irving did even in that first game. Kevin Love, he'll get to the Kevin Love level. And I think Cleveland should be able to handle Boston. But Boston, wow, I mean, they made a run to the playoffs. Brad Stevens, great coach, but Cavaliers are too powerful.
Yeah, watching a team like the Celtics, it kind of gives that underdog story that we always see, that Cinderella team, and it was very surprising. I was surprised of the outcome of how close it was. I thought that they were going to get blown out, but they made a run for it, and we could see on the other side, these Cavaliers, they're coming together. Now is the time for them to go for the better goal of winning an NBA championship.
Yeah, of course, out west, Boston wouldn't even made the playoffs,
right.
But they're in the East, and that's the benefit that's afforded to them.
Another interesting game in the East, the Toronto Raptors versus the Washington Wizards, with the Wizards taking that game. I mean, John Wall, he's still around. He's done really well. Just this year, he has a big man with him, and I think that's the reason that they're able to do as well as they have been.
Yeah, and how about Paul Pierce calling out the Raptors, saying they don't have that it factor? I mean, Paul Pierce is an older guy in this league, and he stepped up huge at the end of that game, hit a couple big threes in overtime to win it. But these are two teams that really don't like each other, especially after those comments. So this could be a close, tough-fought series, a lot of hard fouls. I think it could go 6, maybe even 7.
Yeah, it seems that Paul Pierce lost a lot of friends this week. He also called out the Brooklyn Nets for not trying hard and whatnot. And so I do see this as one of those dirty series, very gritty play, a lot of fouls. But I do see Washington coming out on top. They have the better team right now.
Yeah, another exciting matchup in the East, the Bulls versus the Bucks. Derrick Rose returns to the playoffs for the first time since 2011. He's finally healthy, it seems.
Yeah, he looked good in that first game. But you have the young Bucks who are trying to get into it. Jason Kidd, their head coach, is trying to use this, I guess, as a teaching experience. So not a lot of people expecting the Bucks to win this series. They could, they could surprise the Bulls. But when the Bulls have that starting 5 on the court with Noah, Gasol, you have Butler, you have Rose, and I think you have Dunleavy, that's a really good starting 5, and they've been playing well together so far this year. So if they're all healthy, which now they are, I think the Bulls should win that series and could go even further.
Yeah, they were the team that were overlooked by many. They were my dark horse team coming into the playoff. I really think that they're a team that can make a run because of their experience. And we saw that in Game 1.
Yeah, now we move over to the West and we look at the Mavs versus the Rockets. Rockets taking the first game. Dwight Howard powered through quite a few of the Mavericks players. And James Harden, of course, had a fantastic game.
Yeah, Dwight Howard protected the paint, a couple big blocks. I mean, James Harden, when you have him scoring at the level that he can, you don't even need that many other guys to help out scoring. But they did get big contributions from Terrence Jones, a role player, and Jason Terry made a lot of big shots in this game for the Rockets. So Houston, I mean, they're a good team. People got to look out for them because I think they could even get to the Western Conference Finals.
Yeah, they're definitely a Western Conference Finals pick for me. They've been pretty hot all year. James Harden has been, MVP caliber player. And so I think that they can end up getting to the next round, beating Dallas.
Yeah, I think the most surprising loss from this playoff so far was the Spurs to the Clippers. Blake Griffin came out and posterized a few people. He was driving the hoop. He was really taking it inside, and I don't think the Spurs were ready for that.
Yeah, Blake Griffin was angry in that game. He wanted that win. He wants to help his team move on because Chris Paul is not old in the NBA, but they're getting to that point where this is a team, they've been together a few years, they have to take the next step forward. And you have DeAndre Jordan playing at the best level of his career. You have Blake Griffin, who's transitioned into a top 10 player in the NBA. Of course, you have Chris Paul, and you have a lot of good role players. JJ Redick can hit a lot of shots. So you have this team that has to take the next step, and I think this is it. If they can knock off the Spurs, that's going to give them a huge boost, a lot of momentum, and could possibly propel them all the way to the NBA Finals. But we'll see. If Blake Griffin plays at this level throughout the playoffs, then they're going to be a much better team.
Yeah, you saw the reaction on the owner, Steve Ballmer, at the end of that game. He was pretty excited, and for good reason, taking down the defending champion Spurs. I think that the Clippers right now are in a good position. You mentioned that the window is sort of closing, but it's still open. Eventually, they will probably need one more piece to complete the puzzle and get that championship. But right now, they're in a good position to up 1-0.
Yeah, and obviously we say if they get hot, they can make a run. But to run, they have to run through the Golden State Warriors, who are just won 106-99 against the Pelicans. Anthony Davis, Steph Curry. I mean, Steph Curry's a guy, he hit 77 three-pointers in a row in practice. That's unheard of.
Yeah, you want to talk about a guy that gets hot. Steph Curry is definitely the top of that list of guys that can get hot at the right time, burying three after three after three after three. I see them as the Western Conference champion.
Yeah, it's a win, but I don't like what I saw at the end of that game because it got a lot closer than it should have been. The Pelicans, after the game, they came out, they said it gave them a little bit of a boost, seeing that they could play close. Anthony Davis said that they could beat the Warriors. Yeah, they could maybe beat them one game, right? The Pelicans aren't going to win the series, though, because Golden State is just too good all around. But you got to finish games strong,
Which
Golden State.
I agree. But, the Pelicans, they're a very young team. I don't think any of them really have any playoff experience. Anthony Davis certainly doesn't, and now he's in it. At the first half, seemed to be really nervous, but they definitely picked it up the second half.
Yeah.
And I think Golden State, they were so far ahead, they just got lazy.
Yeah,
and that's not something you want to see in a championship team.
Yeah, Golden State needs to continue to push, continue to knock down threes, and play their game because it's been working all year.
Mm-hmm. And now we look at the last game from the first round of the playoffs, the Memphis Grizzlies versus the Trailblazers. With the Grizzlies taking that game.
Yeah, that was a blowout by Memphis, right? And you had the surprise scorer for them, Bano Udrih, who, I mean, where did he come from, right? Mike Conley, he has been dealing with plantar fasciitis, so he's not fully healthy, so that's a big loss for them. But I hate to say it, without Wesley Matthews for Portland, and maybe, with Conley not playing at the level he's playing at, and Tony Allen, he didn't play a lot of minutes, this is a very boring series.
Oh, totally. You take a look at and right now, it seems that the unhappy people are Knicks fans. Of course, it always comes back to the Knicks, with Beno Udrih taking over a game. But I do see the Grizzlies, they could sweep them if it continues like this.
Yeah, after that Matthews loss for Portland, I kind of feel like they're just mailing it in the playoffs because they know that even if they can magically pull off the series, they're not going to go further than that. Because as good as Aldridge is in the playoffs, he showed it last year. Lillard, sort of, he's pretty good in the playoffs. He had that big shot against the Rockets last season to win that series. But I just feel like they won't have enough.
Yeah, you mentioned Aldridge, and he's another guy. He's been around. He's not young, but he's not over the hill. He still performs at an extremely high level. Just he's not the same single talent that you could see LeBron James when he brought his team.
Yeah.
James Harden does. Russell Westbrook was doing this season, even though they didn't make the playoffs. Anthony Davis. He's not. For some reason, he just doesn't elevate his team around him. He performs really well. He even went 30. He got 34 points and 14 rebounds in that game. I just don't. It doesn't translate to wins.
Yeah, and an upcoming free agent this offseason.
Yeah, a team looking for a big three matchup, something. He might move. No one's really sure. So it's going to be exciting to see how the rest of this round turns out and the rest of the playoffs. Keep coming back, finding out more, and thanks for tuning in this week with Brett Malamud, Jeremy Bella. I'm Mike Berger.